Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Marvel Legends Amazon exclusive X-Men, X-Force, FANTOMEX, Nimrod, and Psylocke 3-pack review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with. Hype beast we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
And there's a quick look at Psylocke on the right flap, and here's FANTOMEX on the left. And a real quick frontal view trying to avoid the glare, but that box art is phenomenal. Alright, here we go. Elizabeth Betsy Bardock, aka Psylocke, Nimrod, and Jean-Philippe Charles, aka Weapon 13, aka FANTOMEX. So this is probably one of my most anticipated sets on the year. Some things that I noticed right off the bat is that we got an updated head sculpt for Psylocke here. So I'm already looking forward to some swaps with some of the older Psylocke figures. This is an updated costume for her. This is not the costume you would need to pair her up with the original Uncanny X-Force crew. I'll delve deeper into that momentarily. This is an updated FANTOMEX, definitely better than the original one that we got. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat is that his arms can actually go down to the side. It's not really the buck that I would have preferred for FANTOMEX, but it's improved, no question about that. And this is our very first Nimrod figure in the life of the Marvel Legends line. Alright, so I'm doing this a little different because I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. I don't want to lose this little setup that I have here because I'm shooting some other things, but I do want to talk about this 3-pack. It's more of an overview than a review, and I really want to frame this in terms of A.C.B.A, in terms of displaying, you know, the essence of A.C.B.A is drawing your inspiration directly from the source material. So that means the comic book or the anime or the movie, and trying to replicate some of those scenes, or, you know, taking your own liberties and doing your own little things creatively. So I really want to talk about the comic origins of the figures in this pack and how you can display them, and give you, I guess, some ideas for displaying, give you a little backstory, and get you up out of here. FANTOMEX was first introduced in New X-Men number 128 in August of 2002. He was created by Grant Morrison and Igor Corti. Now that run by Grant Morrison actually started on New X-Men in issue number 114, and that's going to be my first reading recommendation of this video. I think you should definitely check out that run. It was a lot of cool concepts throughout. That was where Cassandra Nova was first introduced, and a lot of the stuff that Grant Morrison did, Joss Whedon picked up on when he took over the book. As you guys know, Joss Whedon's run on New X-Men is probably one of my favorites of all times, but Grant Morrison's run was really cool. It was a lot of cool things. Some of the art I couldn't jive with in certain issues, but it was a lot of cool concepts. We saw Emma Frost join the team and basically become a hero throughout that run. We saw Zorn, we saw Cat-like Beast, secondary mutations. But yeah, towards the end of that run, FANTOMEX was introduced, and originally not one of my favorite characters. FANTOMEX has a strange history and a strange sort of power set. At least originally he did. It was really confusing as to what his actual powers were, but he does have some mind control or mind manipulation, able to create these sort of hypnotic illusions. He does have enhanced reflexes. He's a great hand-to-hand combatant. He has a healing factor. He has an external nervous system, and has like some type of link to his ship, which is called Eva. And there was a lot going on with this guy originally. Like I said, he was created by the Weapons Plus program, which was like a offset or a more advanced version of the Weapon X program, and he was originally created as this sort of like techno organic Sentinel. He has some like nanotech infused with biological tissue, and he was used to actually originally was going to be utilized to hunt down mutants. It should be noted that the character was also loosely based on the Italian Diabolique character. We actually got a Mezco figure of that character not too long ago. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. You know I'm famous for mispronouncing. I will say I did appreciate the character much more when he joined the Uncanny X-Force team. In fact, that first 10, 12, 14 issues was some of my favorite in comic books as well. But this is our second FANTOMEX in the Life of the Marvel Legends line. The first one was released in the Arnim Zola Build-A-Figure wave. And I will say that this one is definitely an upgrade, but he does leave just a little bit to be desired. There are a couple of things I wish they would have upgraded on this new figure. In terms of accessories, you saw that he's packed in with his two pistols, which are sort of unique to FANTOMEX. I think these may be similar designs, or maybe the same design that we got with the first FANTOMEX. I'll have to break him out to be 100% sure, but he's got the dual pistols, which can be holstered on either side, and he's also packed in with the little blast effects that came with the Black Widow figure. They came with the deluxe War Machine figure. So Hasbro's been giving us these blast effects with quite a few figures over the past couple months or so, and there are two small little peg holes in each gun where you can just plug in the blast effect. No issue there. He's also packed in with a couple of the little smoking gun effects. Great accessory, and obviously works well with this particular character. There we go. There's a quick look at the Arnim Zola Build-A-Figure wave FANTOMEX, and now I'm remembering all of the reasons why I was like disappointed and annoyed with this figure, but it was the best that we had at the time, and it was the closest that we got to the complete original team. I mean, in fact, we did actually get to complete that original team of 5, but things kind of overlapped into the new era of Hasbro, and now we're back trying to complete that original team of 5. Problem is they kind of threw us for a loop in this pack. So FANTOMEX is different in that you don't have the peg holes in the older guns, and the color is just a little different. I think I prefer the color of the older guns. Also, the head sculpts are different. The entire buck is different. The old buck is not good. It's the old outdated buck with the ball joints at the pelvis, and the one thing that they do have better though, I think maybe the shin, the legs, the lower feet, because you don't have those cuffs that keep falling down like you do on a newer FANTOMEX figure. The other thing, the old figure had these hands that could not be removed, so you couldn't swap them out for other black gloved hands, and they were sculpted really weirdly. I mean, obviously when he's holding the guns it's okay, but when he's not and you want to have him in something vanilla, it just doesn't look good. Also, the jackets are different, but the newer FANTOMEX has a little sort of diamond on the back of the coat, which looks like it's accurate to some of the later comic books, whereas the older FANTOMEX seems to be more suited for some of the earlier issues of the run. The belts are also different. The X on the older version is a little larger. I think I prefer the belt from the newer version and how it kind of sits and how it holsters on his thigh. I think it's a little better. I think the 3-pack FANTOMEX has the more comic accurate holster and belt. I think the guns being holstered around the thigh is more comic accurate. I feel like I've seen more images that way. And while you can swap out the hands on the newer version for any other black gloved hand from any other figure, there is a little bit of gappage between the cuff of the glove and the hand that exposes a little bit of white, and I don't really like the way that looks. I put the ISO up a little bit. I hope I'm not overexposed. There's a look at the two side by side, so you can see how the original version looks sort of awkward. I mean, this is the best you could do with his hands when you wanted him in a vanilla stance, was kind of put them on the coat lapel. Other than that, the arms just look really awkward. The whole body of the older figure is just too awkward. Now, I really do wish they would have used a mold that had butterfly joints for the newer version, but as you can see, the newer version stands taller. He just looks more together. You know, it looks more realistic and more in tune with what an actual person with a good physique would look like. There's the old head on the new body. The older head sculpt, his eyes are blue, and this newer one, his eyes are not. And there he is without the jacket and the original head sculpt. And he ran around like this for quite a bit in the comics as well without the jacket. Sometimes he would have it, sometimes he wouldn't. But obviously, again, this sculpt just looks so much better. I just really wish it would have been on maybe like the Bullseye Buck or the Spider-Man 2099 Buck or something like that. So there's the new version with the old jacket, which actually fits better in my opinion. It's a little more form-fitting on the upper chest now. It flails out kind of funny on that left side, but I think it's like that because of how the holster was on the original version. But you can see the original version and how awkward that body looks, and one leg is longer than the other, and there's problems. And I forgot about the gun. So the gun in his right hand is from the original FANTOMEX, so you can see the colors kind of differ. The sculpts are actually slightly slightly different. You can see he's got like an extended clip in the original gun that's kind of protruding out, and there's some differences in the lower part towards the barrel as well. I think that could go either way. I think I like the color of the original one, like I mentioned originally. And I forgot to mention that because the cuffs are a little more extravagant on this newer version, you don't really get to utilize the full range of that double jointed elbow, so that's disappointing. But I think if you have both, then you can put together sort of your FANTOMEX from the earlier issues of Uncanny X-Force, and then after like issue 14, you may want to just stick with the stock 3-pack version. Alright, we totally jumping the gun here because I've had this up for quite some time and I need to actually start wrapping this up so I can get to some other reviews. But we're looking at Psylocke here. This is our 4th Psylocke in the Life of the Marvel Legends line, if I'm not mistaken. Technically, maybe it's the 5th because we got 2 from Toy Biz. We got the original sort of kind of Jim Lee look, or what was supposed to be the Jim Lee look, but back in those Toy Biz days, we actually did get a variant that I did own, the Crimson Dawn Psylocke, that may have had like 10 or 12 that got out in the world or something like that. I think it was originally supposed to be a variant, but then it never really got mass produced, and I definitely had one at one point, but I sold it because I needed the money at that time. Shout out to Paul who bought that, who actually gets a booth at New York Comic Con every year just to show off all of his rare Marvel Legends. But anyway, so yeah, we got 2 from Toy Biz, and technically we had 2 from Hasbro before this one in the 3-pack release, because we had the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave version that sort of had like a variant or a run and change, and there was some color differences between the two of them. I'm not even 100% sure what was what, because I think I only ended up getting one of those. But now we have this 3-pack version, which is her X-Force costume, which is actually the costume that should match up with these other fellas that you see right here. So FANTOMEX from this same set. This Deadpool is actually the Hascon Deadpool. There were 2, but this particular one was the Hascon version. And then we've got X-Force Wolverine from the Wendigo Build-A-Figure Wave, and then we have the Walgreens exclusive Deathlock with his X-Force colors. And I may actually have to stand corrected about this Deathlock. Maybe the first one. No, the first one was from the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave. Maybe this was a GameStop exclusive. I'm not 100% sure. And the second gray Deadpool that we got was from the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave for sure. But I do believe the Hascon version is a little better. I think the gray on the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave version is a little darker. But to Psylocke, you can see one of her accessories here, which is her little effect to make it look like she is utilizing her power. Psylocke first appeared in Captain Britain number 8 in December of 1976. She is a mutant with the ability of telekinesis, telepathy, precognition. She's an expert martial artist and hand-to-hand combatant. She has the ability to construct weapons made of psychic energy, usually in a blade form. So she is another fierce fighter and a great addition to this team. Again, this is the team that was sort of like midway through the Uncanny X-Force run, where you would utilize this particular outfit of hers. Now, things changed a lot on that book. The very first team of the Uncanny X-Force in this modern era was just Wolverine, Wolfsbane, Warpath, and X-23. And that team was put together by Psylocke as his sort of covert kill team. At some point, the team evolved and there was a lot of different memberships and other people came on. Archangel came on, Elixir, a lot of different people as they went through their travels and went through different timelines and ended up meeting up with Cable in the future at some point, in a future where Apocalypse and Strife had been warring. Domino was on the team at some point. We did get a Domino in her black uniform that could kind of match up with an X-Force crew. I think this is the most succinct group that we have right at this particular moment. At some point, Wolverine brought the team back together behind Cyclops' back, and his original team consisted of FANTOMEX, Deadpool, himself, Psylocke, and Archangel. But at some point in the book, Archangel got screwed up, went bad. Deathlock had come on actually right before that happened, midway through, this was the team with Psylocke in this particular outfit. So she did come with this effect. The sword here is sort of like a powered down sword that I'm using. You know, we've received this sword so many times throughout the history of Marvel Legends, but she did come with her powered up blade that actually has a little energy effect that can be detached or attached and detached from it. That hand on her left arm is actually not her own. She did come with one interchangeable fist that goes on that particular arm, but that hand is actually from the Mohawk Storm. So that's one of my first issues with this figure, is that she didn't come with enough accessories, interchangeable hands and stuff like that. But again, you do have quite a few black gloved hands you can choose from different characters that we've had that have been released already. You know what I'm gonna say? She doesn't have an ab crunch. There's no double jointed elbows, although it is a decent range of motion there on the elbow, as you can see. I just kind of wish she could move a little better. Again, she is a ninja, psychic ninja over here. And although I kind of was hoping for her in just the updated X-Force uniform from Wolverine's first team, I'm actually okay with this deco. And you know what? I'm lying. There were five Psylocks released, because she was also released in her original X-Force deco as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive in a 3-pack with Wolverine, or 6 Psylocks rather. Yeah, and that original set was Psylocke, Wolverine, and Archangel. So Archangel had quite a few changes throughout the book as far as his deco goes. I don't know that anything that we had, even that version from the 3-pack, is accurate, but again, at this particular point when these guys were together and they were trying to do their thing, Archangel had turned bad. Repainted, remastered, updated head sculpt on this version. This is the best Psylocke head sculpt that we've had so far. One of the things that I really liked about the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave version, which is what this version is based on, was that she actually looked Asian. So you surely could swap this head onto the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave version. They updated her hair color here. It actually has some purple highlights in there. Again, this is the best head sculpt we've received so far for Psylocke. There's the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave version. You can see that the hair is just jet black. Still a really nice looking figure. And there's the newer head sculpt on the older body, which again I think looks great. And then you can see those purple highlights better. And it should be noted that the psychic effect that came with the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave version is lighter. I think I like this one better for the X-Force version, as was her psychic knife, and the other items that she was packed in with were lighter than the X-Force version. Alright, taking a look at Nimrod. Again, our very first Nimrod in the life of the Marvel Legends line. This character dates back to Uncanny X-Men number 191 in March of 1985. That was Nimrod's first appearance. Pretty much a futuristic, apocalyptic robot with superhuman strength and durability and flight and energy projection and regeneration, and I mean, he is almost indestructible, and since 1985 has been a reoccurring villain for the X-Men. I can respect what Hasbro did here, giving you 2 different head sculpts. The one that you see here is actually supposed to represent the classic version of Nimrod. However, the look of this Nimrod with these pink highlights and what have you are really more representative of the more modern look from the House and Powers of X storyline. Honestly, I'm not really a fan of the pink highlights. I kind of wish he was just all white, and then we had the interchangeable heads and the interchangeable little back plate to represent the energy forming behind him. I do like the accessories that they packed in. He's got 2 energy blast effects, and the fact that they gave him interchangeable hands are great. 2 open hands, 2 fists. I feel like the base buck here is the old Mandroid Build-A-Figure, but I also heard somebody say that he was new. I don't see that. I feel like that especially those lower legs seem to look like the Mandroid Build-A-Figure, and maybe they just gave him a couple of new parts here. While the old version of Nimrod looked very blocky and robotic, the more modern version from the House and Powers storyline looked a little more humanoid in certain instances. So I don't know that they really nailed either one of the looks for Nimrod, and I'm not really 100% happy with this figure, although I do feel like he photographs well. Between the Sentinel that we're going to get next year from the Backer Project and Bastion and this Nimrod, we actually probably only need maybe like 1 or 2, maybe 3 additional looks for Nimrod to give you a good evolution of Nimrod over the years. I'm still hoping for a Nimrod Sentinel from Second Coming, or maybe one of Bastion's other forms from Second Coming. I'd even take a variant of this particular style just without the pink highlights maybe. I still think this is one that you have to pick up though. This was actually just on sale recently, this 3-pack on Amazon for like 55 bucks. The articulation is limited. The head does not move. I mean, you can pop the head out. It is kind of on like a little ball peg sort of thing, but you can, you can replace the head. I don't think I even have it popped all the way in there right this moment. Shoulders on the ball joint. You do get an upper bicep swivel, single hinged elbow swivel, and a hinge on the wrist. There's an odd sort of articulation scheme at the pelvis. Again, I do feel like these legs are the mandroid legs, so if you remember that builder figure, you know the articulation is limited. The knees can bend. I don't know that I would necessarily categorize them as double jointed, and you have a slight hinge on the feet. I have him up on a couple stands right here, one kind of hidden behind his left leg and one placed directly under the right leg, and then I have that little piece of newspaper covering the stand there.
Character within this wave, we wanted to really, we can't just give good guys to this wave, right? So we got to have a baddie, and this year we released Nimrod in sort of that House of X look too. And if you've read the comics, you would know somebody that works closely with Nimrod in the comics is Omega Sentinel. Dwight, what'd you think about working on Omega Sentinel?
She was cool. Once again, it's always exciting when you can do a character from scratch, and that's what we did for Omega Sentinel. So she was built from ground up. Her look in the comics is really striking with her whites and her silvers and with her red kind of face. So I think she turned out awesome. She'll also get some fun little bits and pieces that allow you to do more with this character. If you know more about her from lore as well, not just from the House of X books. So I think I think she'll look awesome on your shelf as well. And yeah, it's always cool and fun to bring in some more bad guys. So I think she's going to look great right alongside Nimrod. And ultimately, if you were one of those who bought the HasLab Sentinel, all that story goes together. So she'll look great on your shelf with all that stuff.